Good morning, everybody. I hope you love Fridays. Patrice Evra loves Mondays, but I tell you what, he's pretty grumpy on a Thursday, Sam. Patrice Evra has kung fu kicked a fan in the head. Shouldn't be smiling at all. It is absolutely outrageous, and we will be telling you the full story in just a second. But let's go straight into let's go straight into the back pages. So much to talk about this morning. It's incredible. In the Express, you have got Patrice Evra there. Disgraced Evra does a Cantona to fan, 36-year-old, doing that kung fu kick in the Europa League against Marseille. And also at the bottom here, and this is on quite a few of the back pages, it's about Gareth Southgate saying that no one is safe. Yeah. We'll get into that one as well in more detail. He's been absolutely ruthless, kicking out. You can see it in the Daily Star, the back page there. Smalling, Chamberlain, Sturridge and Defoe not making the squad.
Quite a lot left out
this time for the friendlies against England and Germany. So we'll reveal why he's doing that very soon. Back page of the Daily Mail.
That was inevitable that at some point that was going to come this
Well, Pochettino has said in the past that he would never go there because, you know, he's an Espanyol guy. Yeah. Real Madrid is not the place for him, but it seems like they want him, according to the Daily Mail, believe it or not. Again, in the Times, Southgate wields axe and just above it, the picture of Evra wielding his foot into someone's face. And on the Daily Mirror, Everton's Europa dopes 3-0 away from home at Lyon.
And they're out.
And they crash out of the Europa League. We'll talk about that briefly as well. Finally on the Telegraph, more from Everton, nowhere to hide as they lose 3-0 and crash out of the Europa League. But that huge story across the board, it's all over Twitter, it's all over the back pages as well. Patrice Evra, the old Man United boy.
I love him.
Is that his final kick?
It may well be. You know, he's 36. He's gone back to the club. I think his career started at. It's certainly who I believe Manchester United signed him from. But Patrice Evra, what really happened? So what I want to do is run through a full story for you, a little bit of context going into the match. Basically, this season, Marseille fans and Evra haven't had the best relationship. With Marseille, they're currently 4th in the league. They finished 5th in the league last year. They expect more, a brand new stadium, actually wonderful looking stadium. Yeah. They want to progress as a club. They see PSG signing Neymar and Mbappe. Marseille want to be like that as well. Obviously, I haven't got the funds in that respect. But because of that and because of Patrice Evra's Happy Monday videos, fans didn't feel he had the right sort of vibe. You know, if you lose at the weekend, on Monday you see Patrice Evra doing that.
Understand.
It's that sort of relationship. So it wasn't building. But this is what L'Equipe has said. L'Equipe is a French newspaper. This is their account of what happened. They're saying that 30 minutes in the warm-up to the game, Evra was getting jeered heavily by Marseille fans, which happens at football games. Players get jeered. If you're playing badly, you're going to get jeered by some supporters. Now, nobody knows what those supporters said, whether it was purely Evra, you're shit, or if it was something worse, we don't know yet. So at this point, you can only speculate. So we're not going to say anything. But after that point, Evra jumped the barrier and confronted some fans, was split from the fans by Marseille's players, came back over the barrier, then he kicked one in the head. And he was subsequently sent off, the first player ever to be sent off before a Europa League game. And then he went to the stands, and he sat in the stands. But what is going to happen next? Now, Patrice Evra, so Eric Cantona is obviously the comparison that a lot of people are going to be making. Eric Cantona kicked a Crystal Palace fan after some xenophobic stuff was said towards Cantona. He was then given a 9-month ban from worldwide football and 120 hours community service. I think Patrice Evra can probably expect a similar sort of punishment. Yeah. You know, he kicked a fan legitimately in the head.
Well, that's it. Let us know in the comments. What kind of ban should a kung fu kick to a fan's head offer, I guess? It is an interesting one. He's a left back. He's played at the highest level, especially at left back. The reason I say left back is you're closer to the fans, so he should be used to it. So I'm intrigued to find out what was actually said, because it's something that's obviously angered him greatly for him to behave that way. In the comments, Evra was kung fu fighting, says Adam
I wanted
Lee.
you to sing that.
I know. A lot of people. A lot of people seeing the funny side of it. It's an interesting one.
I mean, it's not funny.
No, but he's some people suggesting that he had been in training.
He had been in training
and saw this coming. Check this clip out.
En garde chevalier. C'est parti.
hard kicks. Maybe he was training.
Sure, you don't want to be on the end of that.
No, you really don't. But as I said, in this situation, there really is no humour related to it, as much as we are trying to make a little bit of a joke of it, because that is a great video. But what happens... We're going
it's a little bit funny, isn't it?
It is a little bit funny. I mean, in the context of going into the game, we know what happens in terms of the fans being a little bit antsy towards Evra, and he bit. But he's a 36-year-old Champions League, Premier League winner. He's had his whole career. He knows that fans are going to jeer him. You know, he's played at Anfield after the Suarez, Evra stuff. He's played in those sorts of environments. He's used to it. So for him to lash out like that, something must have happened that must have been slightly above what happened previously, or maybe it was just too much and he finally reacted. At that point, we don't know.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is, I guess, the elephant in the room. Sufyan Irfan saying, I can't help but think the fan was racist. Now, I think that's an easy thing to quickly go to. Yeah. Because, of course, Patrice Evra is black. But we have to wait and see. And I think it'd be interesting to know if he comes out and says something about it and if that's reflected in the ban that he gets. The bottom line is you can't be doing that, which is what the Olympique Marseille manager said himself. You can't do these things, it's obvious, despite how low and insulting the comments were towards him. So that's a kind of slight little clue into what's happened there. It seems like the comments were incredibly low, and Evra has obviously said that to his manager, but...
I mean, it's you know, like Zinedine Zidane headbutting Materazzi in a World Cup final. He reacted. Yeah. Some players do react sometimes.
And bottom line is, there'll be consequences from that, which is surprising for someone that generally is thought of as a happy-go-lucky kind of guy.
Yeah. It's a bit out of character in that sense, I suppose.
Yeah, and let's move on to the Europa League, and we'll do some good news first, but it's an interesting one, this. Arsenal versus Red Star Belgrade, a really boring 0-0 draw. Arsenal, that's 16 games at the Emirates now that they haven't lost at, which is incredible form. The
Great
team
record.
itself... loads of sort of new faces, I guess, young faces. Macy in goal. You've got Maitland-Niles, a lot of the second string players there. So to get a draw is not the end of the world. They've kind of done that throughout the entire set of group games, and they are now through to the knockout stages. But from the highlights that I saw, at the end of the game, there was boos from within the crowd that they hadn't won the game. What I would like to put to Arsenal fans is, I get that Arsenal fans are frustrated, but that's 16 games at home that you've done well in. You've made it through. It's a young side. It's not your first team. What's going to happen when they lose a game?
That's an interesting game to boo.
It seems a little bit unnecessary. Weird. Maybe I'm completely wrong.
You're booing the kids.
A little.
They played against Red Star Belgrade, who proved themselves to be a tough team to beat away from home. It was only a 1-0 win from a Giroud overhead kick late on in the game. So 0-0, you know, they didn't concede, they're through. Maybe if they didn't get through, I would understand there would be some boos, but they qualified, which was the ultimate goal.
And of course, that's going to be a minority of the fans, but the bottom line is I could hear it on the highlights, so it must have been strong enough. So Arsenal fans, are you disappointed with that? Or is there a context that I don't understand? Obviously, we know there's problems with Wenger and the board and all those things, but that's a good night. On the other hand, you've got Lyon against Everton. This was probably going to be seen as the game that should have seen who was going to win the group. And it turns out the Toffees are the first English side to not win any of their first 4 games of a Europa League campaign. It's the worst an English side has ever done in the group stages of the Europa League. It just gets worse and worse for them. They kind of stuck in there till about 70-odd minutes, and then the goals came in. Schneiderlin was an absolute embarrassment, in my opinion, getting a second yellow card, which was just petulance. From David Unsworth's point of view, the Watford game becomes absolutely massive now. He's lost all 3 games so far. He experimented with Sigurdsson up front as a sort of false 9, so no recognised striker. They don't look like they can score goals. It is a worrying time for Everton fans.
Prior to the season starting, Ped from Toffee TV always said, we need a striker. We need another striker. Please sign a striker. And obviously they didn't. And Sandro, I'm not even sure if he scored yet for Everton. Rooney hasn't really delivered the levels that were needed to replace Lukaku, but he was never going to. And Sigurdsson obviously has not lived up to expectations.
And shouldn't really be playing as a centre forward.
Not at all. That's kind of running out of ideas sort of idea.
And looking at the stats themselves as well, 63% possession for Lyon, 14 shots to Everton's 3. There's no chance of them scoring goals the way they're playing at the moment. David Unsworth needs to figure this out very, very quickly if he wants that permanent job, especially with the international break on the horizon. He's not going to get the job, certainly, if they don't get full points against Watford at the weekend. Disaster for them. It might be a slight blessing because there's going to be less games for them. They can get on the training ground and concentrate on winning some Premier League games.
They need something.
Yeah.
They need something. We've got a comment here from Joe Madeira, who I'm going to presume is an Arsenal fan, saying we played a lot of youngsters and at the end of the day they got the job done. We are through. This isn't show business. You don't need to be entertained. Yeah. Go to the theatre if you want to be entertained. You sound like Jose Mourinho, my friend. And I agree with you, because the purpose last night was to qualify for the knockout stages of the Europa League, which they did.
And also, look a bit further forward. You've got Man City away at the weekend.
Exactly.
You need all your best players fit for that game. So I think they absolutely, job done. I find it really strange. Look, I know, again, there's nothing more frustrating when someone's having a go at a club's fans for booing, and I'm not saying it's all of them, it's clearly a minority, but it's loud enough for me to hear it, and that's not a good state of affairs for Arsenal, in my opinion. Finally, it's international week next week, so Gareth Southgate has announced his squad, and he's been ruthless.
He has been ruthless.
The axe has been wielded, if that's a word.
Straight on Chris Smalling's poor little feet.
And do you know what? Is this a massive sort of blunder in saying that Smalling... So Southgate's come out and he's cut Smalling from the squad, and he's basically said that he's not good enough at football. He said that he is not good enough coming out and starting attacks, which is what he wants to see from his centre-backs, and that's why he's dropped him. As a United fan, one, is that correct? Secondly, is that dangerous when, if you get a few injuries, Chris Smalling's going to be back in that squad?
It's 100% correct. Chris Smalling, once upon a time, he was quite confident with the ball at his feet. But that is a year gone by. He's not there anymore. Chris Smalling is atrocious at playing the ball out from the back. Phil Jones is definitely better in that regard, and John Stones is a clear... Maybe he wants everyone to go into John Stones' bowl, which is dangerous to a point, because if you aren't good enough to play it out from the back, like Huddersfield, and you try to play it out from the back against teams that are better than you, you're going to get punished, you're going to lose the ball high up the pitch, and you're going to be out of shape. But I don't think it's too dangerous. England have got enough defensive options, and I think Chris Smalling is professional enough to accept the criticism and not play football like that. Just pass it to somebody else.
I think it's... I appreciate Gareth Southgate trying to show that he's not going to be kind of pushed around, that the squad's got to be flexible, that it's got to have players who are playing regularly and suit what he needs. But he's burnt a bridge there, in my opinion. Chris Smalling, if he comes back into the team, is not going to be playing with loads of confidence, because he's going to be playing for a manager who doesn't really believe in him. Apparently Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain...
No, he didn't say that. He just said he doesn't believe in Chris Smalling's ability to play out from the back. So as long as Chris Smalling understands that sort of role, then of course there's a position for him there. But it's not to say that he won't be thinking about it if he's got the ball at his feet and he's playing a game of football.
Yeah, well, look, let us know in the comments. Do you think that's a harsh statement to make to Chris Smalling, someone who's essentially is one of your players that you might need in the squad at some point? Another one, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, is apparently, according to one of the back pages, fuming at the fact that he's been dropped.
He's had a bad year, isn't he?
There were thoughts that a lot of the reasons why he went to Liverpool was to get in that World Cup squad to play for England, and so him being dropped, he's not best pleased with that.
So Oxlade-Chamberlain was in the Arsenal squad when Liverpool won 4-0. Then he joined Liverpool. Then Liverpool lost the next game 4-0. His season is just...
He's having a difficult time at the moment. Yeah. On the other side of it, there's 3 uncapped players who've been brought into the squad, which I'm quite pleased about. Joe Gomez at left back or left wing back, if they're going to play 3 at the back against England or Brazil. You've got Tammy Abraham, who I think is a really exciting striker and someone that we needed to get locked down quickly, because he has the potential to be an England star.
Hopefully that means no more Andy Carroll, right?
Possibly, yeah. I mean, he's not the battering ram that Andy Carroll is. He's got better feet than that, but he's also a better finisher, I believe, than Andy Carroll. And he's got huge potential. You're seeing that at Swansea. You saw that at Bristol City last season. And then Ruben Loftus-Cheek. Okay, it's Crystal Palace, but he's been one of the few bright sparks. Again, he has such potential coming through the ranks at Chelsea. You've got to get these guys bought into England and England for the next 10 years. And so I think those 3, get them on the pitch. Friendly probably won't be enough, will it, to lock them down because you had that with Wilfried Zaha.
But
it's exciting.
It'll give you the introduction into them, see how they play, because we're playing Germany and Brazil both at Wembley, two big friendlies, I suppose. If playing up against the best in the world, Germany's certainly one of the best in the world. It'll give them an opportunity. Let's run through a few comments. Have you got any good comments there?
Let me have a quick look. Sharif Bilagiri, sorry if I got that wrong. Cantona 2.0. A lot of comparisons there. Stephen Butler says prison for him. It's interesting, isn't it? These things kind of altercations happen and it's always fine. But well, I guess Duncan Ferguson back in the day with a lovely little headbutt.
Technically it was assault.
Yeah.
I mean, a comment here from Toshan Williams saying England need ruthless management. The youth teams are displaying a winning mentality whilst the seniors are failing miserably. So we've had the under-17s have won the World Cup, the under-19s have won the European Championships, the under-20s have won the World Cup as well.
If you don't buy into it now, when are you going to buy into it?
Something is going right at the youth levels of England. Hopefully that can be replicated with the seniors team as well.
Absolutely. And Sushanth Reddy, entertainment is an important part of a football team's identity. Ignoring that is a stupid thing to do. Interesting.
That's probably an Arsenal fan saying that.
Mr. ASG, Joe Gomez is a great call-up as well. And Daniel saying Oxlade-Chamberlain has had bad luck. So there you go. So those are the comments. Thank you for all of you that have watched this video live. Hit that like button.
Drop a like on it.
Do us a favour.
It's Friday, right?
It is Friday. Happy feelings all round.
Exactly. Please let that die.
Two things you need to know. One, at 12 o'clock today, on the dot, we have a little mini doc. It's got Adam McCullough in it. It's got Rory from Chelsea, CFC Fan TV, talking about Mourinho, his feelings on Mourinho then and now. It's a cracking little mini doc. Go watch that at 12 o'clock when that drops. And on Sunday, I'll be doing Sunday breakdown after two huge games. Man City versus Arsenal. Chelsea versus Manchester United. It'd be great if you joined me for that. 6 p.m. on Sunday. Hopefully my Wi-Fi's good enough.
Fingers crossed.
Have a great weekend. Have a great Friday.
Say, hopefully my wife's good enough.
Wife's good enough. Yeah, she'll be appearing on the show. Another reason to check in because she's fit. All right. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you very, very soon.
Take it easy, everybody.